authors of the Good Book or Holy Bible did not specify Jesus' skin tone, and may have only done so deliberately to focus all attention on what is really important, that is, the saving of souls. This was a point well made on the matter by Jeff Marshalls, a system engineer, Los Angeles. Despite the mistiness passionate scholars or seekers are said to have encountered in the quest to know things as they really are, ascertaining the very skin color of the Messiah while he was yet in our midst is not supposed to pose any difficulties. The interrelated activities surrounding the stories of his existence all the way down to his crucifixion made this very glaring. Which all brings us closer once again to the surrounding ill racial and oppressive treatments the people of color may also have been faced with in that era of the Christ. That slave-like treatment, isn't it relatable to the way Jesus was treated? Isn't it also relatable to the way his name was changed, just as slaveholders are akin to changing the names of their subjects, or slaves as a way of asserting their slaveholding signature?
Thorns on his brow and his face was bleeding. And they laughed at him and they spit on him and they mocked him. And with one snap of his finger, 72,000 angels had already drawn their swords ready to come to his rescue and wipe this planet out of existence in the universe. And Jesus said, "No, to this end was I born."
That was the American evangelist Billy Graham in a crusade held as far back as 1971, reminding us all just what it meant to be black in those days and what it meant to be Jesus at the same time. Come to think of it, who was the man that was picked from the crowd to help carry Jesus' crucifixion cross, and why was he singled out in the first place to do the task? Couldn't it have been for no other reason than the color of his skin? Billy Graham wasn't quite finished with us here on the vital information he had to give.
And he dragged and lifted and hauled that cross. And don't you black people ever forget one thing. The man that helped Jesus carry that cross was a black man. And don't ever forget another thing. Jesus belongs to Africa. He was born in that part of the world that touches Africa and Asia and Europe. And Jesus was not a white man like me. We don't know what the color of his skin, but it must have been a dark color like the people of his day, because he was a man like them.
Billy Graham, from 1918 to 2018, must have been a man of great insight to have said this in his time. Simon of Cyrene was an African man summoned from the crowd to carry Jesus' cross to Calvary. Simon was black. Here is an insightful one from PC Camp. Christ the Messiah was black, as he was from the tribe of Judah. Jacob was a black man. His sons and grandsons were dark-skinned, as all the Hebrew people who descended from Jacob were black or dark-skinned. The descendants of Jacob, including King David, King Solomon, up to all the kings through the Solomonic dynasty, including Haile Selassie, are all black or dark-skinned people, being obviously from the tribe of Judah. Christ the Messiah was in fact black based on all the original authentic paintings of him before all those paintings were destroyed by a decree passed by Pope Alexander VI, who hated the fact that the Christ was black. This has always been about being black. Pope Alexander VI had ordered the widespread destruction of Christ's paintings by fire and replaced those paintings with the image of his own son named Cesare Borgia. Search the name Cesare Borgia. He is actually not what Christ looked like, but his image was used to replace the original paintings of the Christ, who was black. Now let us confirm the words of PC Camp by quickly and briefly filling ourselves in on Cesare Borgia. Who was Cesare Borgia? Cesare Borgia, only 13th September 1475 to 12 March 1507, was an Italian cardinal and condottiero, or like some would say, a mobster. He was an illegitimate son of Pope Alexander VI and member of the Valencian House of Borgia. His fight for power was a major inspiration for the book The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. The Borgia family was famous for the enormous amount of political power they wielded in the 14th and 15th centuries, particularly within the papacy. They were often accused of crimes like simony, nepotism, murder and incest. However, in an effort to keep black slaves oppressed so that they could sustain their rulership in Rome, Pope Alexander VI hired Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo to paint all of the images of the Black Christ in Europe in the image of his son Cesare Borgia. Since both of these artists were well known, a competition broke out between the two to see who could impress the Pope more by making a new image of the Pope's son that would deceive the world into thinking that Cesare was Jesus. So the majority of the images displaying the white European-looking Jesus that we see in paintings today at churches and Christian stores is actually a picture of Cesare Borgia, not the Messiah. But Leo and Michelangelo didn't just stop there. They painted all of the people of the Bible to be white, deceiving the entire world of what the people of the book really looked like. Over time, these false images have saturated the minds of the masses to such a degree that the notion of the Messiah being black sounds like a lie. Many people, especially the black people, regard the notion of the Messiah and the disciples being black as an attempt to instill black pride in our race, rather than considering if it could be true or not. America has brainwashed us so much that when you try to tell our people the truth, they can't receive it because they have been taught so long to believe in lies. In closing,